when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
This morning show. As you know, it is Youth Wednesdays, and we are getting ready for an epic segment. If you can tell, I am surrounded by a number of students, and I'm really excited to interact with them. How are you guys feeling this morning?
Good.
All right. Now, these young people sitting within my midst would have recently participated in the Tobago Day Youth Debate, something that I would have done many moons ago, right? I know that it was definitely an experience, and I can't wait for you to share some of your most interesting moments and the things that you would have learned. But before we get into the meat of the matter, starting from this lovely young man here, I could recognize him by the Signal Hill uniform. Can you introduce your name, the class that you're in, and the school that you're representing?
My name is Alan Cipriani. I attend Signal Hill Secondary School, which is evident by my uniform, in 6B2, so I'm in 6O.
My name is Anthurium Lewis, student of Bishop's High School, Tobago, and I'm in 5A1.
My name is Maya Bartholomew, student of Scarborough Secondary School, and I'm in 4C.
My name is Alyssa Leacock. I attend the Harmon School of SDA, and I am in 4A1.
My name is Kinara Benjamin, representing Speyside High School, and I'm in 5A2.
All right, so I love that we have a number of young people within our midst in different classes within the secondary school system. I think that that's pretty interesting, the fact that you all have the opportunity to engage in one of the most important aspects of Tobago, which would be participating within the Assembly Legislature. So I know that you all would have had an extensive training process for the Tobago Day debate, learning about the motions, the art of debating, and different rules and so on. So again, starting from you, sir, tell us a little bit about what that process was like for you.
Well, I was the presiding officer for this year's Tobago Day Youth Debate, and during that process, I had to manage. Learning how to multitask was very essential to the role. So managing the mics, managing speakers, and making sure and record time, as well as learning about the different discussions. It was essential. So that was mainly my role.
Mm-hmm. So I was on the minority side. So it was different to view the motion from a different point of view. Because personally, I do believe that we have policies in place. But we had to look at the perspective of, yes, we have policies, but are they really working for us? So I had to learn more about the procedures that go on in the chamber, as well as compile all the necessary information so that I could have a proper speech and do justice to the topic, because it is an important topic. So yeah, all of that had to go into process.
Yeah, right. For me, I wrote my speech. That was one of the first things I had to try and do. I got a lot of help from my fellow debate members, as well as my debate facilitator at school, and as well as the subject expert, Mr. Bobby Andrews. And I really tried to learn my speech. I practiced with a box and a mic as a broom. And so, as well as learning about all the rules and how we have to do stuff, the procedures. So it was really a fun experience, and was a lot of hard work we put into it.
For me and my dad did a lot of research, and I would also like to thank Mr. Ajay Allen, because I'm a person that likes to commit statistics and facts. So my whole presentation, even my rebuttal, was based on facts. So I was like, coming together with all the information, you have to do a lot of deep diving to get all the information that is needed to bring the motion and lay it out right there.
In my case, it was a bit challenging, seeing as focusing on housing as a topic for the debate was a bit of a challenge for me, because I've never actually studied as a youth growing up. Because, as a child, you're thinking that when I get older, I'll just go out and buy a house and that kind of stuff. So it was a bit challenging for me. And when thinking about the motion and the different policies that was in place, even though I had help, my main problem was the presentation that I gave. But in the end, it came out good.
All right. So, based on the responses that you all gave, I could tell that you all really and truly did learn a lot. The art of research and coming up with the correct statistics and information, the art of communication, the little technical work, you know. So, I really appreciate the fact that you all have the opportunity to engage in these skills because even though you all are quote unquote finished with the debate, you all could take these skills and apply it to everyday life. So let us talk about the motion a little bit. Starting with you, can you share with me some of the points that you brought up in your presentation?
Well, as the presiding officer, I wasn't really mainly in charge of the debate, just
Oh.
managing the debate. But the motion was low income housing in Tobago. So it had a majority and minority side, which basically the majority side was against the motion because they already had policies in place, while the minority side was for the motion because that was their policy. That's what they were trying to implement.
So I would say I did a lot of deep diving into the actual research because what I took it as is that I understood that we in Tobago, we have this third world country mindset. So I said, what can we do, right? And I started looking at countries like the United States of America, places like Australia, and see what they have in place. So I matched their methods to see what would be suitable for us. And I came up with 4 policies, right? So these 4 policies I brought up in the House. I did not get to elaborate much on them due to the number of interruptions and timeline. However, I will list them now. So I would say one of them was appropriate land management and zoning policy. So, you know, protecting certain areas that are important to Tobago's tourism product and food production capabilities. Another topic was community land trusts. So acquiring land and holding it in a trust for the benefit of the community. Another one I had was financial literacy and wealth creation. So personally, targeting persons in primary school or the younger, the youth, so that when they grow older and they are of the age to invest in a home, they have the knowledge, they have the resources that they are confident that they can now go and do their purchase and not have to solely rely on grants sold in hand, as well as having a Tobago-centric contractors registry, so that these contractors are available to the public and you can see their work based on their merits, and so that the contractors are able to guarantee their work. So all of these policies combined, it's a complex discussion we're having, but we need to talk about it, right? So all of these policies combined, if implemented, they can help to develop Tobago. So these are the points I touched on, and I really hope that the persons and the powers at be would have listened and taken notes. So yes.
You really and truly have some good strategies in place, I must say. And as you rightfully said, hopefully the authorities would have looked on and, heard what you said and would basically implement policies along those lines. How about you?
Okay, right. So the way I approached the motion was that I was fully for the motion, but the caveat was I disagreed that we did not have policies in place. So the way I approached my speech was I said, we have the home ownership made equal project. We have the low income housing project. We have the public officer subsidized housing project. We have policies. However, we also plan to do this. We also plan to expand rural villages. And the way I approached it was I said that doing so will create economic growth. That we plan to put micro malls in these places. We plan to put we plan to give entrepreneurs opportunities to occupy those micro malls, and then also said that we were going to do build recreational facilities as well. Though I didn't get to touch on everything due to time, but that was what I was going to say. And then I said that in doing these expansions, that we will protect Tobago's indigenous flora and fauna. We'll try our best and we will comply with all regulations, and that was how I approached it. So I was for the motion. However, we have policies and we are going to do this. That was my approach.
I actually appreciate that approach. That was very strategic. How about you, Alyssa? Why would I skip you?
I don't have a response on this. I feel like low cost, the motion was to implement a policy for low cost homes on the island of Tobago. Housing is a right. And like my colleague would have stated, Tobago is a small island and we need to utilize the air space instead of land space. Because like I said, it's a small island. So I think with, like my colleague implemented, they should use more air space instead of land space.
And by airspace, what do you mean?
Build up and not across.
All right, I understand. So more like high-rise buildings.
Yeah.
And so on. All right.
In terms of my speech, usually time I didn't get to properly elaborate or finish, but the approach that I took was, yes, I do support the motion, but there are already policies in place that do the same thing. And in terms of the time it takes to implement a new policy, people who are already there and waiting to restart the registration process for those people, it would take forever to get them to be able to gain a housing. And by then, the salary, because the salary of Tobagonians is rather low, the salary would not be able to meet the standards. And by then, they might have families and different circumstances. So instead of using new policies or implementing new policies, use the ones that are already there and reinforce them better.
All right, so you all had some interesting angles within your speech, and I really appreciate the fact that you all did your research, regardless of whatever side of the argument you all were on. You know, sometimes it's really difficult to argue against. That is my honest opinion. I think that is the hardest point of view to argue from, but you know, I really appreciate what you all have done, and I want to issue some congratulations, because I know that probably was not easy. And can you share with me what was some of the challenges that you all faced in preparing for the debate?
I would say, well, honestly, the challenge I would face is more like speaking out loud. I'm normally a really soft-spoken person, so learning how to project my voice and allowing everybody to hear me was a bit of a challenge, but I honestly overcame it thanks to the coordinators and the help of my debaters. So yeah.
I would say my biggest issue was the timeline. Yes, it was a wonderful motion and all of the sorts, but the amount of time we had to prepare the speech. So I think my colleagues and we did an amazing job given all of those factors. So yeah, that was the main thing.
For me, time, as my colleague said, was a big issue for me. I went through like 4 versions of my speech before nailing it down. And when I actually nailed it down, it was on the week of. So I had to try to learn that. And then also when I came to present the day, my speech was already long, even though I tried to cut it down the night before. And so when I came there, I did not get to say all that I want to say. I had to skip some parts. I hope it didn't come true. But I had to skip some parts, I had to flip pages. And so that was kind of one of the big issues for me.
For me, as the minority leader, I was bringing the motion and I was also giving the rebuttal. So for me, the hardest part was statistics and anxiety. My anxiety was through the roof the night before, even on the day. But like my father told me, you just have to apply yourself. So all the anxiety that you are feeling, apply it to all the aggression and put it into your speech and present well.
In my case, it would have been I wasn't able to attend as many in-person preparation sessions as I wanted to due to exams and my personal classes outside. So that would have been one of the problems. But on the day, I was shaking a lot. Like at first I was normal, but when it came time to give my speech, I was very anxious and my hands were actually shaking a lot. So that would have been one of the problems, my anxiety and the lack of being in proper preparation sessions.
You know, one thing about public speaking or doing a debate is the fact that you will always be nervous regardless of what situation it is. So for example, me, before I came here, I was nervous even though I have done this multiple times. But that also comes along with the experience. And I think that this was a great opportunity for the young people of Tobago, because now you all have experience within how debate works and how the assembly legislature works, something that most people may long for, or some people may never understand, you know. So I'm urging you guys to take the experiences that you have learned and put it into practice. And this is the training grounds for you all to become future youth leaders, you know. So I look forward to seeing what the future holds for you all. So thank you, viewers, for joining us with this segment. Don't go anywhere, and don't forget to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back. Good morning and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are back again for a second segment where we will be discussing with another batch of Tobago youth debaters concerning the recent Tobago youth debate. Are y'all excited? How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling good.
All right, and so just for the viewers, can you start by introducing yourself? I'll start with you.
Hi, I am Davisha Melville and I am representing Hammond School of SDA.
Hi, I'm Abigail Thompson and I'm representing Pentecostal Light and Life.
Hi, my name is Christian Francis and I represent Roxbury Secondary.
Hi, my name is Anna Marcella Codrington and I attend Goodwood Secondary School.
Hello everyone, my name is Kaysan Abdul-Wadoor and I attend Bishop's High School.
All right, so I must say congratulations. You all did an excellent job at the Tobago Youth Debate. So as I said earlier, I would have participated in the Tobago Youth Debate. I know that you all had an extensive training process. So just touch a little bit about that and tell me what it was like for you. I'll start with you.
I am one of the students who did not miss any of the training process and it was quite informative. There was times like once I fell asleep in class, but there was times it was very informative, very, you know, impactful, and it generally developed a interest for politics and debating for me.
But I had an opposite experience. I was actually a late minute candidate, so I've only known about this for 2 days before the actual debate day. So I had small amount of time to actually prepare being a first debater, but it was a good experience for the first time.
Well, as my fellow colleagues say, I started a bit later than everyone, I would say, but it was mostly, what do you say, they coach us. It was more informative and it helped me along the way.
I barely attended any of the training. But on the actual day, the thing with them, the 2 days before, they will make sure that everything don't pack because they want everything to run smoothly. As my colleague said, it was very, very informative. I did not know this was going on in Tobago, to be very honest, until they informed me about it. I learned different things. I learned what squatting is. I learned what is low-cost housing. I learned where we have low-cost housing. Other than that, on the actual day, that was the best day for me. I got to execute my presentation well. I got the role of the Chief Secretary, which I was very excited about. But it was a very informative yet educational experience for me.
As my colleague said before me, it was very informative. For me, it was a bit of in and out because I had a lot of classes and I had to prioritize on whether I should go debate meetings or classes, and sometimes I missed a lot of meetings, but based on what I have gathered before, it was very informative and I got to learn a little bit more about Tobago, because before this debate I didn't really think of Tobago as a poverty island really. And this debate opened up my point of view and I was be able to realize that, you know, that there are many voices that are being unheard. Many people are suffering and many people are experiencing this housing crisis. So it was a very good experience. I got to make friendship with my colleagues, and the people who taught us were very informative and helpful. Thank you.
Proper speech. I love that they trained you very well. I could tell. But I must say, one of the things that the debate allows you all to learn is time management.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I could recall one of the experiences was to write a speech under a minute. Right, and you have to deliver that speech in under a minute and so on. So that was part of the training experience for me, you know. And given the fact that some of you had some short notices and that you all were still able to come out and execute, tells me that you all did a pretty good job, you know, because many people would have given up and said, I don't want to do it anymore, the time too short and so on. So starting with you again, just tell me, what was your favorite experience?
My favorite experience was on the actual debate day when we were obviously, I wouldn't say arguing, but debating against each other. Everybody was bringing out their points so well, and I was a little bit nervous to go up and like rebuttal against anybody. But as soon as I turned on the mic to rebuttal, all the nervousness just went away, and I had the confidence, and I just executed it well. And I was really happy that I wasn't scared as most of my other colleagues were.
Alright.
Well, I could say the same as she stated. It was very nerve-wracking the first time. You have to be recording and everything, especially at a late-minute announcement for me. So when I got there, I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, I had to do this, stand up in front of all these people behind me and in front of me and speak. But when it was time to speak, I tried to calm down and just do what I had to do. And in the moment, it's a very nice experience.
Well, I would have to say my favorite part would have to be the debate itself, the day and how it was in action, and the whole conversation, the whole conversation that was spoken about Tobago and the housing system, the housing crisis. It was fun. Everything was fun.
To be honest, on a serious note, my favorite days were the training days when we were in person, because you get to express yourself, you were able to communicate, you know, build new ideas, you were able to develop your speech better so that on the actual day you would know what you're doing. It also created a sense of comfort and connection with others. We were able to express how we felt, and it felt comforting to me. It felt as though I had a voice in the training days, not just on the debate day.
So, for me, I think it was when the rebuttals. On the debate day, it was very exciting because no side seemed to back down. The majority had its points, the minority had its points, and no one refused to back down. Everyone was like standing order after standing order after standing order. And for everyone, for me especially, I had to just stick on what I had, the points that I had, and be confident. And although they were sending rebuttals after rebuttals, you know, I just loved how my team, the minority obviously, kept their composure and was just rattling out standing order and clarification and clarifying what the majority had to say, and it was a very good experience for me.
You know, I watched the debate and was like, wait, how many standing orders would we have in one debate? You know, because as you rightfully said, you all weren't backing down, but that tells me that you all came prepared, you all were ready, and you all executed it to the best of your ability. Just so that the viewers can get an idea of what you all discussed, just share with me some of the main points that, you know, you talked about within your debate.
Well, for my presentation, I talked mostly about property tax and mortgages and how citizens' daily salary was too low to afford all these stuff. So bills, groceries, mortgage, property tax, it would be quite literally impossible for our citizens to earn and pay for these things. And that was my main point and argument, because as someone who comes from a household that is a little poor, not necessarily poor, but you could understand what it's like to ask for something and your parents cannot give it to you because they do not have enough. So I understood that part.
Okay, my points were basically proving that we already had what's the word? Sorry. We already have things in place to help with low-cost housing in Tobago, such as there's a new company called Chef Pro who has came in with container houses that can be stuck together to create new housing for Tobago. And it also branches out in a lot of different ways, providing food in Trinidad, Tobago, and different places. So there's many policies already in place helping with low-cost housing, and yes, many have not heard of them yet, but in time, everyone will know about it soon enough so that they can help themselves, and the government can help them as well. Because a point I wanted to say in the debate is that if the government did not want to help their citizens, they could have shut this down a long time ago.
That is a very interesting point. I love it.
Well, my main point was basically about the health care, because under the housing crisis, it lies under health. Because because your health is basically an important part. It plays an important part with your housing crisis, because if you live in under a roof which has no type of, if you're sick, you have to get this type of medication to feel better, and if you don't, you will have to always be running to the hospital, which isn't a good important for you, because as my colleague said, you might have not the economic funds where you have, and you always have to be costly, and the medication will have to be costly, and you just have to, yeah.
So for me, I touched on what low-cost housing was. I touched on how it enhanced in different sectors. I also touched on how it helped families. I touched a bit of how it helped educational-wise. And I was trying to bring my point that the government is already doing. Yes, you all are saying we are not doing enough, but we are trying our best. We are not good. We can't get everything all at once at the same time. There are upcoming programs coming. Okay, thank you.
So in my argument, I talked about land regularization and simplifying the home ownership process. And in my argument, I completely stressed on the fact that although the government has said they have implemented policies and stuff, some of the problems like poverty and stuff it's still big issues, and people still have problems with housing. So that just it magnifies the fact that people still have problems, so there must be more done, right? So I focused on the circumstances of Tobagonians and the things that they had to face, which pushed them into squatting. I also talked about squatting, and yeah, that was a blast. It was a blast. Yeah.
And I could tell why y'all had so many rebuttals, because I heard multiple sides of the argument. I heard different points. I saw different perspectives. And based on the little looks I'm getting, it seems like y'all want to do another round on television.
And I was not backing down. I'm a very argumentative person.
Could tell. Y'all would have been spending some time within the Assembly legislature. Just share with me who was your role model throughout the entire process. Oh, this one's a smile. Just share with me who was your role model throughout the entire process and why.
I had like two. Miss Cooper was very helpful for me. Anytime I needed help, she would have immediately responded, and I would have gotten my help. But another huge help, even bigger help, my bigger role model is Mr. Ajay Allen. He was so informative, so real down to earth with you on the topic, and he would just say it plain and flat and tell me to do stuff, and then be like, you could retract your statement afterwards and thing. So he was very funny, understanding, and down to earth with the problem, and he was telling us to be compassionate about it, and that is what I think kept my motion well intact.
Well, I don't have one, since I'm sorry, I'm very bad with names, but I'll say everyone who was there, I will say everyone was there to help. Each of the adults there helped us individually, helped us if you needed help. They are there at your very second to inform you, to help you, to give you points. So I'll say everyone there was very helpful.
Okay. My role model will have to be, as my colleague say, Mr. Aji and Mr. Bobby. Yes, it will be them today because they have, how to say, they have aligned us to basically, even if it's my first debate, they have aligned us to make the experience better and to make it as if we are here a long time, as if we are in the legislative building for a long time. They have shaped us into the person that we can become in the future. Basically.
Unfortunately, I have three. The first one goes to Mr. Bobby Andrews. He helped me with my speech at the very last minute and had no problem with it. On the actual day, I was kind of getting nervous, and he would send me messages saying, "You got this. You're going to blaze the place. Don't think on it too hard." Miss Cooper, because she was always there to assist at any second. She's like a mother, you know, always willing to help at any time. And I had made this little office friend. Her name is Miss Leanne. She was very nice. She allowed me to be myself. On the first day, she was like, "I like you." And I was like, oh, I was enjoying myself. Yeah, thanks.
For me, is Mr. Andrews, Mr. Bobby Andrews. He was very informative and he showed us statistics about Tobago, how the growth rate was way higher than Trinidad, although we had a smaller population. And another person for me was Mr. Aji, for sure. He had all the tactics, and he gave us all the information. Guys, you have this. He was very encouraging and he gave us the energy, and it was a good balance because Mr. Bobby Andrews had the statistics, he had the information, and Mr. Aji had the tactics, he had all the things the techniques in debating, and it was really fun. It was really fun.
So big up the whole assembly legislative team, you know, without them, you all would not have been able to execute as well as you did. Congratulations again. You all really made my day. You all really made my day with that debate because I made the arguments back and forth. You know, I could have seen the little tension, but it was all good. And this will, as I said to the other crew, this will help you to become future leaders. And I'm also going to say to you all as well, take the skills that you all would have learned and implement it into your lives and so on, because it will help you. All right, so I would like to thank you viewers for joining us. Don't forget to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.